Okay, students, we're going to teach you how to change an improper fraction into a mixed number and back again in this video. Now take a look here, and I'm going to show you something rather neat. Okay? So 7/4 and 1 3/4 are actually equivalent, right? Those are equivalent numbers. And you can see it this way, right? So it means that you have 7/4. So I've taken two circles and divided them into fourths, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts shaded in. But another way to think about that, students, is this. You have one whole circle shaded in right here, one whole circle, and 3/4 of the next circle. So you can either think of this as 7/4 or 1 3/4. Now let's figure out how to do this with numbers and not just the picture. So take a look. If you have 7/4, just like that, okay? And you can figure out, you can decompose this into parts, right? And you can say, okay, 7/4 is going to be 4/4, which equals the number 1, by the way. You know that that equals 1. Anytime your numerator and denominator match, you get the number 1. So you got 4/4 plus, how do you get to 7? Well, you don't add your denominators. So what plus 4 equals 7? That would be 3/4. So you've got 4/4 plus 3/4, and you know that 4/4 equals 1 whole, which means that you get to 1 3/4. So you can convert this improper fraction into a mixed number without using pictures at all, although I understand that the pictures are kind of fun, okay? But you can do it without pictures at all right? Sometimes the pictures will help explain the concept, we get that, but we also need to be able to do it mathematically with just numbers too. All right, so let's take another look at another way you can do this. Instead of breaking it apart and decomposing it, there's another way to change this improper fraction into a mixed number, and that is using division. Because if you remember, a fraction is a division problem. So you can take 7 and divide it by your denominator, which is 4. So you divide by your denominator. So take a look at what I do. I'm going to say 4 fits into 7 how many times, right? Okay, well, 4 fits into 7 one time. And you subtract 4, and you end up with a 3 left over. You say, okay, all right, well, what do I do with my remainder here? Well, that remainder becomes your numerator, and your denominator stays the same. So there you have it. You have 1 3 out of 4. 1 3/4 is your mixed number, which is equivalent to 7/4. All right, let's try another example over here. So look at this one. Now we have 5/3, okay? And 5/3, we're going to go ahead and do it this way. Let's see here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to split each of these bars into thirds, into 3 equal parts. So here we go. All right, now here's the thing. For 5/3, I have to shade in 5 out of the 3 parts. And then we're going to see if we can figure out, okay, how much of this is equal to 5/3 and what mixed number do I have? Because my 5/3 is an improper fraction. So we shade in that part right there, and we're going to shade in. So that's 3/3. Here's 4/3 and 5/3. We're going to go all the way up to here. Okay, so now we've got our 5/3 just like so. Okay, and I shaded it in. So now we have to figure out, okay, what mixed number is that? Well, if you will look carefully, what you have is that you have one whole bar here. So you have one whole bar here, and then you have 2/3 here, right? 2/3 there. So you now know that this is going to equal 1 2/3. Well, let's see if we can figure out a different way without the pictures, okay? So if I take 5/3 and I can decompose that, and I say, okay, well, I want to equal 1 whole, so I know that 3/3 equals 1 whole, okay? But I have a little more. I have to have 5/3, not 3/3, so I need 2 more thirds to go along with that. And I have to remember that my 3/3 equals 1 whole, and once I have done that, I get 1 and 2/3. And then, of course, you can use the other technique that I showed you on the previous page, which is to divide by your denominator. So you say, okay, how many times can I fit 3 into 5? You say, okay, 3 fits into 5 one time. You subtract your 3 using your basic division. You've got a 2 as your remainder, so you take your remainder and you make it your numerator, and your denominator stays the same. Okay, so your denominator is your divisor over here. Okay, and you get 1 2/3 that way. So 1 2/3 is the mixed number that is equivalent to the improper fraction of 5/3. Now, a key thing to remember about improper fractions, anytime your numerator is greater than your denominator, you have an improper fraction, which means the value of this fraction is greater than 1/2. And you can prove that when you change it to a mixed number. And in this case, you get 1 2/3. Okay, let's do another example, except this time we are going to work in reverse. So this time we've got 1 2/5. Okay, so we want to split each of these into about 5 equal parts. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts there. And we're going to try to do the same thing over here. Now, my drawing may not be perfect, but you get the basic idea. Okay, and let's see, I'm going to do a little bit of shading here. So let me get the shade tool, and then we are going to go ahead and we're going to highlight in one whole bar, just like that. Okay, and highlight in one whole bar, just like that. And then we're going to highlight in just 2/5 of this next bar, because that will equal 1 2/5. Now, what this model tells you is it tells you exactly how you can break this apart into pieces, right? So you know that this is one whole fraction bar here, but it is equal to 5/5 because the model shows you that it is 5/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/5. And then we have this piece here, which is another 2/5. And if you count them all together, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/5. So we now know that this will equal 7/5. Right? 7/5. That's your improper fraction that equals this mixed number over here. Let's break it down a different way. Take a look at it. We're going to do 1 2/5 here. So you could do it mathematically with just numbers, and you don't need the pictures, although the pictures do help explain it, right? But you can say, okay, my denominator is 5. So I know that I'm going to have something plus 2/5, and I need 1/2. Well, 1/2 is 5/5. So you say it that way. You go 5/5 plus 2/5. And now, once I've done that, I get 7/5. Okay, so you get 7/5 when you do it that way. All right, so let's try it out, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out, a different method. Okay, here comes a different method for you to try. Now, another possibility when you have a mixed number is you take 1 2/5. Here's your mixed number, and you can multiply your denominator times your whole number. So you can say, okay, 5 times 1, and that's what you do first. So I'll put that in parentheses. And then you add your numerator, plus 2. And your denominator never changes in that process. So here's another way to do it. You can change this mixed number into an improper fraction this way instead of this way. Okay, you say 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. And so you get your numerator of 7 and your denominator of 5. So that is another way to change a mixed number into an improper fraction. Okay, now for the assignment, because I do like to give students assignments. So I want you to try these numbers, and I want you to do it on paper. Okay, I want you to do it on paper. So here we go. Problem A. Problem A, I want you to change. Let's have you change 7/6, and I want you to change that into a mixed number. And then for problem B, I would like you to do, let's go with 6/4 and change that into a mixed number. And then problem C. Okay, here's problem C. For this one, you are going to do 1 5/6. And I want you to change that into an improper fraction. Now, I don't care what method you use. You can use any of the methods I gave you, but I want you to convert all three of those. So you'll convert A and B, change them from improper fractions into mixed numbers. And for C, I want you to change it from a mixed number back into an improper fraction. Okay? And I don't care which method you use, but you do need to show your work on your paper. Okay? And we will continue to practice this concept. Remember that practice is how you get good at math. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned a lot. And keep practicing. Do this assignment right here. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.